The movie that Donald Trump doesn't want you to see is now set for release in the United States on October 11th. Let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, state attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida Law Man, here on the MeidasTouch Network. A few months ago, we discussed the movie The Apprentice, which is a biopic about Donald Trump that stars, among others, Jeremy Strong. Yeah, you know who that is. That's the actor who played Kendall Roy in the TV show Succession, a personal favorite of mine. And the movie is not supposed to be too flattering to the former president. In fact, there is a very controversial scene where Trump is shown to be raping his then wife, Ivana. And that set Trump's hair on fire, where his people threatened to sue to prevent the release of the film, to try to sue for defamation if it's ever released. And as a result, there was trouble for the film to find an American distributor. And when I did a video on this a few months ago, there were a lot of comments saying that this is so un-American, where you have the threat of a lawsuit and the American distributors are paralyzed with fear and the movie never comes out, at least not until well after the election. But now an American distributor has bought the rights of the film. It's set for release in early to mid-October, and things are looking like a go. According to the Associated Press, the film is getting an October 11th U.S. and Canadian release via Briarcliff Entertainment. Stephen Chung, the communications director for the Trump campaign, called the movie pure fiction, which sensationalizes lies that have been long debunked. And back in May, a lawyer for Trump sent a cease and desist letter to the filmmakers behind The Apprentice, which stars Captain America, the Winter Soldier star Sebastian Stan as a younger Trump, and Succession actor Jeremy Strong as infamous defense attorney Roy Cohn. Trump's team sought to block the film's release and threatened a lawsuit. In a previous statement to Variety, the film's producers called it a fair and balanced portrait of the former president. "We want everyone to see it and then decide," they said. According to Deadline, the film charts a young Donald Trump's ascent to power through a Faustian deal with the influential right-wing lawyer and political fixer Cohn. One of the big names who was really pushing for the release of this film is none other than Bill Maher. According to Deadline, he was stumping for the release of The Apprentice. He was bemoaning the fact that it was being released in other countries around the world, but not in the United States or Canada, especially not in the United States where there's an election. And perhaps this is some information that people need to see and make their own mind about. Well, Maher went on to explain how he says Trump works to get his way across the board. Quote, "First he intimidates the Congress people, then he intimidates juries, and now he's intimidating this town? Oi!" Remember, Roy Cohn is an infamous lawyer who Trump holds up as the lawyer that all other lawyers should emulate. He had no ethics. He ended up dying alone and disgraced and penniless. Someone who worked hand in hand with Joseph McCarthy, the infamous senator who accused people of being a communist, destroyed their lives, their careers, and eventually was taken down himself. But Roy Cohn was a villain of history. But for Donald Trump, he's what every lawyer should be. And Kendall Roy, Jeremy Strong, is going to play Roy Cohn, which is probably another reason why Donald Trump's people don't want this to come out before the election. But it looks like it will. There's only one more obstacle seemingly in place before the movie comes out. According to Deadline, The Apprentice, which made waves at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, is due for release stateside by Briarcliff, as we first reported. October 11th has been the date we've heard for a while now, but uncertainty has been fueled by a dispute with financer Kinematics, which is backed by Trump supporter Dan Snyder, who reportedly took umbrage at the film's depiction of the former POTUS. The players have been inching towards a resolution, and hopes are that it will be fully resolved in a matter of days. That's Dan Snyder, former owner of the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. If you want to look up Dan Snyder, you can find lots of stuff about him. But it looks like he's involved with the financing of this film, and so that may be one further obstacle. But according to reports, it still seems like it's going to come out before the election. So hang on. Now it looks like Dan Snyder has given in. According to Variety, Kinematics, which is backed by Dan Snyder, the billionaire former owner of the Washington Commanders, has closed the deal for James Shawnee's Rich Spirit to acquire the company's interest in the political drama. That's important because Snyder, who is a Trump supporter, was reportedly furious about the film's unflattering depiction of the real estate mogul and former president as a drug-abusing philanderer who is heavily influenced by disgraced attorney and fixer Roy Cohn. Kinematics attributed its departure to creative differences. Shawnee's company was one of the film's other backers. And not only is this movie still set for release on October 11th, but when the independent distributor bought the movie, Briarcliff, it also plans to keep the movie in as many theaters for as long as possible. They are raising money that, in return for grants of $100, donors will be listed on the end credits, while larger pledges give people the chance to get one of 3 toupees worn by Stan on screen. That's the actor playing Donald Trump. So yes, you too could have a toupee used in the movie The Apprentice. As far as whether Donald Trump will file suit as he has threatened, I think that he could file suit, but that suit will go away pretty quickly because one part of being a plaintiff in a civil lawsuit is that you open yourself up to discovery. You open yourself up to depositions, testimony under oath, documents that you have to produce, all these things that could embarrass Donald Trump and would go to whether the allegations in the movie are false, true, and whatnot, maybe some shades of gray. And that's not the kind of discovery that Trump would want to endure. And we've seen this before with other lawsuits where he files it and then walks it back. Because the other alternative is, if it is deemed a frivolous lawsuit by the courts, that he can get fined pretty heavily, and his lawyers, as we saw in a lawsuit that Trump filed against Hillary Clinton. Remember that one? As CBS News reported, former President Donald Trump and one of his attorneys were ordered to pay nearly $1 million for a completely frivolous lawsuit against Hillary Clinton and others. U.S. District Judge Donald M. Middlebrooks, right here in South Florida, concluded that Trump undermined the rule of law with a string of lawsuits filed to air political grievances. Middlebrooks wrote that the suit against Clinton, former FBI officials, and the Democratic Party should never have been brought. Middlebrooks ordered Trump and attorney Alina Habba, you know her, to pay $937,989.39 to Clinton and the other defendants. Now that decision by the judge is on appeal to the 11th Circuit, so Trump has not paid it yet, but that's the judgment that's hanging over his and Alina Habba's head. And not coincidentally, CBS also reported around the same time that Trump voluntarily dropped a lawsuit against New York State Attorney General Letitia James that had sought to stall her office's $250 million civil case brought in September against Trump and his company. James's office has accused Trump and his company of widespread fraud. Well, you know what happened there? Yeah, he voluntarily dropped his lawsuit, and then Letitia James won her lawsuit against Trump. Trump is also appealing that. And we've seen this most recently with Trump's announcement that he plans to sue the Justice Department over the Mar-a-Lago search and the prosecution. No, there's no merit to that. Remember, a magistrate judge signed off on the warrant to search Mar-a-Lago. So this lawsuit, if it is ever filed, because he just announced plans to sue, is going nowhere. It will probably be dismissed before discovery. Does not want to enter discovery in this. That could hurt his eventual case, the prosecution of him for the classified documents case. And if you're saying, well, the case has been dismissed, yeah, temporarily, but the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals will overturn Judge Cannon's dismissal of that case. The only way Trump gets out of this mess is if he gets elected president and then orders his AG to dismiss everything. But Midas Mighty is not going to allow that to happen. According to NBC News, an attorney for former President Donald Trump filed a legal notice announcing that his client plans to sue the Justice Department and the FBI for $115 million for alleged malicious political prosecution and abuse of process. The notice, a copy of which NBC News obtained, basically, I love that. Good, that's how you do it. You gotta call it out. You can't both sides this. Well, he said no. Baselessly accuses DOJ leadership and special counsel Jack Smith of having perpetrated a malicious political prosecution aimed at affecting an electoral outcome to prevent President Trump from being reelected, a frequent accusation that Trump makes online and during campaign events. Yes, this is all political, just like the threatened lawsuit against the movie The Apprentice. First, to sue someone for defamation when you're a public figure is a really high burden. You have to show more than just a mistake. You got to show a reckless disregard for the truth, that they knew the truth and spewed lies anyways. So that's a really high burden. Also, it's almost impossible to prevent something from being released in the courts. You can try to pressure distributors not to buy the film, and that apparently what happened before. But now an American distributor is going to show the film. Looks like just a matter of time. But to go to the courts and say we're going to prevent something from being shown, the First Amendment is broad. It is extraordinarily difficult to do that. And so as a result, this movie looks like it's coming out. And these threatened lawsuits are going to go nowhere for Trump, and especially the one against the Mar-a-Lago search, which if he doesn't dismiss that early on, if it's ever filed, then he'll probably face a large fine like he is facing in the Hillary Clinton lawsuit that he filed. So this is the state of play. But ultimately, it all depends on what happens in November. So Meidas Mighty, we can't get complacent. Keep the ball rolling, keep the momentum going, and I'll see you at the finish line. And also see you here on the MeidasTouch Network. I'm Dave Aronberg, aka the Florida Law Man. If you like this video, please leave a comment below, and share with a friend. Also, check out our sister site, True Crime MTN, where I host a lot of true crime action right here on YouTube. Check it out, True Crime MTN, in partnership with the MeidasTouch Network. And I'll see you next time.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.